All right, so I'm going to create a template for what you would consider to be a DocuSign document or something like a DocuSign document. And I'm going to just walk through the steps as I actually build this out for myself. And so the first thing we're in documents and contracts, but we're in template. So at the very top of your screen, let me start over. So we're going to use the DocuSign feature in creating a document from a PDF and entering in the data for both parties to enter as part of the signing process of any document. So we'll start with payments. We're going to go to documents and contracts at the top and then select templates. Now that we have these are my faux pas, and I said, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this. Let me record it. So we're going to click the big blue button for new. And we're going to upload a PDF. Select the PDF, fourth try. Had more to do with my original document than anything else. Actually, the first one went away. I'm on the fourth one, okay? That's just what I am. So the lesson is you keep trying, going over it until you get it. So quick, obviously there's the name of the, I'm going to take that out because it's no longer blank. And I'm going to put lease there. So you have to name it. Remember to save it along the way, just because that's just a good thing. So so for this one, because we're doing a PDF, we're taking the blanks and we're going to fill it in with the data that we already have. Now you can add blocks to this document, but it doesn't really work on a PDF. What you want to really do is add the fillable fields, because that's why you uploaded a PDF. You want to overwrite those blanks that you would normally have to fill in manually. You want to leave them to be filled in either by each recipient as a blank, or you can pull in the data that belongs in the database. So for now, first thing I'm going to just add the date. Now this doesn't really fit. I already tried it already, where if I tried to make it fit, the date actually gets cut off a little bit. So I'm just going to leave it as is and just accept the fact that my original document didn't really have enough physical space. I don't really know how to change the font on those things. So the first thing you got to do is select who's filling that out, who's picking the date. Well, this is going to be the sender versus the receiver. You pick the type of date. So the placeholder is the text that's pre-filled. I'm going to leave it as select date. I'm going to pick my date format, and I'm going to limit it to today's date. So when they're selecting a date, user selected, they can only pick the date that you say, whether it's today's date, any date, or past, only a past, or only a future date. So it limits the choices, so you kind of control a little bit of the actual date. So this one I wanted to fill in that way. So now I'm going to take the tenant. Now I'm not going to have the tenant type in their name, right? I'm going to take that and I'm going to give it some room because I don't know how long the tenant's name is going to be. And I actually have custom values that I can import into the document. So I'm going to use that. I haven't created any custom fields in this org. And the contact, you got to play with it. It's a little funky. I'm going to just put their full name, right? It's just a merge field. You could see that you could link whether this is going to be either a contact custom variable or a document variable. And the variable name would be whatever you put in there, but it's a contact variable. Now the variable names, you notice I pulled the element. I didn't show you these other ones, but we will in a second. So that's it. So this is from a user, and you notice it's a different color. Green is sender, and the red is the recipient, the contact that you're filling it in. So you want to pre-fill as much as possible. That's just good juju. Again, I got another date field. So I'm going to copy this, and because you can copy an element, and I'm going to place it. And this one happens to be any future date, right? So typically when In a lease situation, the tenant signs and then the owner confirms, or the property manager confirms. So that will be some date in the future other than the date we're signing it. Actually, yeah, because you can't start a lease. So it'll be, there's always like a delay, right? Because there's always, I'm sending this to you, so the lease can't start. So it'll be earliest tomorrow. And then another future date, I'm just going to put here. Now again, I'm putting it a little, you can't move it. There's a margin in there, so you can only move it so far to the right. And then that's another text field and how much money they're going to actually pay. Now for this one, in this particular unit, I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. So I'm actually placing that inside because I actually know it fits because I've already done it. And you can actually put, for this case, I'm going to put $15.97, which is my rental. And but I also, the person can overwrite it. So it's just a placeholder text that actually fits. Now you can't really see it because I got my little mouse thing. But if you notice, can I make the screen not much bigger, huh? Can I? Oh, cool. That's going to be a little ugly. But you'll notice, as I get real close, notice how the letters that are in the placeholder text, that's how they're going to render onto the page. So you get a good idea of the sizing of what's going to be. And if I want to put, you know, a comma, and there's like, I got a little room, I can play with it. If I want to, and again, if there's a blank somewhere you want to add some text, obviously you can do that. So I'm going to take that. Now I'm looking at the screen a little bigger, and I'm going to keep moving down the page. Now, one of the things that I do on my contracts, because I learned this the hard way, is, and I can't really see it, move back down a little bit. I always initial my, this is not a contract class, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing because this is my real contract, right? I'm going to take the initials and I always throw them on the page. You can resize the initials because it's just going to put a little smidge of it in there, and get them in the habit of putting in their initials. And each page I'm going by, I'm signing it, right? So now I have, again, I'm just going to add the fields. I'll probably fast forward through this. We'll go through it again. Again, I'm taking the text fields, and one of the things that I will tell you, and that's not for them, it's for me, is that when you go to pick up those fields, right, you can pick up the contact fields, and the custom fields can come from the contact, opportunity, or general info. General info is just a tab in the contact field. I don't know why it's not just the contact info, but for some reason, it's probably the business information. But okay, general info, because I don't think that's in the contact fields. Maybe. Yeah, and I don't have any custom fields in this org, which is why I'm not adding any custom fields. Typically, with a contract, what I would recommend is that some of these custom variables would be the result of the conversation you have with the person, and therefore would be fields that would be appropriate to be opportunity fields that you filled in the blank, and then it would automatically fill it in. This is just the basic level of what we're doing right now. The other thing I noticed, so I have the contact name here, and if I copy it, so I'll just copy that, and I'll bring it down to the next page. Well, guess what? It's sort of trapped, best I could tell. It's trapped on the page. So you're just going to get stuck doing that. So you just got to add it back again. It's a little annoying, but then again, I'm going to share with you all the things that annoy me that I've learned in doing it 4 times. I've only done it 4 times. But I want their full name, and the page doesn't really render super slick. So again, that's going to come in from the database, which means, if that means the tenant or the recipient can't edit it. If it's coming from the database, what I don't know about the behavior is whether or not it would come, if I let the tenant fill in that information instead of me, let's say I'm sending it to someone else, I don't know if that'll write back to that field and update it. It'll write to this contract, but then there may be a disconnect in your database. So for these fields, I'm going to leave them controlled by the sender, and as opposed to controlled by the receiver. Like the rent payment should not be controlled by the receiver, right? It should be controlled by the sender. However, I want them to initial each page, so it kind of slows. Listen, on contracts, if they acknowledge that page, that means they acknowledged that they received it, right? So if for some reason there might be another one, I might put something there if just in case there's another one controlled. So this one's controlled by me, but they may say, well, I got somebody else to put in there. And in that case, I wouldn't put the contact's name. I would just additional, right? Additional occupant. And in this case, oh, I forgot about that one before. Thank God, look, I'm catching all these things. So the text field in this one is, this was going to be, I'm saying this one's controlled by me. This would probably be a merge field from my opportunity. Like how many people are staying in this apartment, right? And that might, again, control the rent, the deposit, all those kind of things that would be there. So I'm not going to put it in the field. Excuse me. I'm going to put it here. None. Specify additional occupant, right? So if they do, they say, well, this other person could live there, and that number's 1. Well, by God, I'm going to go change it. I'm not going to accept the lease. I'm going to say, hey, that wasn't what we talked about, but I'll give them a chance. You'll be surprised what people will put in writing that they won't tell you face to face. When they see the blank in writing, it's just kind of a good rule of thumb to know, that's a good rule of how people work, right? So again, saving every page as I go. This one is, again, these are just fields that I'm going to put in specific values for. It may change. I'm going to put in here personal property, covered port. Nope. So you got to make sure, like, you want to see if it fits. It's just good management of your document. And then I'm going to take that because oops, I don't want there. I want the covered carport or driveway. See now that gives me, say, boy, that didn't fit. So I got to space out my placeholder. It still gives me a chance to overwrite it, but I'm predefining like the standard text that I might use in this particular contract. Outside on the patio, yard, or shed, for smoking areas, all those things are interesting. But again, I'm going to make sure they initial each page. Now this has been a little crowded, but I'm going to stick it in right there, especially when it comes to the utilities, because this is I'm prepaying the utilities. You notice you can only go so far. This is the first time I'm writing a lease with, hey, you're responsible for the amount, all the utilities, but I'm giving you a $250 a month credit for your half. So I hope that's legally the right verbiage. I'm just got to get this out because I'm actually meant to send it earlier. Not anything I'm doing on here other than putting my initials on the bottom of the page so that it's acknowledging each page. In a typical EULA, end user licensing agreement or end user agreement, when people sign digital documents, they could argue, I guess, that, oh, I didn't read that part. I scrolled down. It didn't show me it, right? Never them, always somebody or something else. So, but if they initial each page, then I'm saying you said you read it. So I'm not changing anything inside the document, but I'm acknowledging each page of the document. And I don't know if that's good contract law or not, but it's what I'm doing on this. All right, so you guys are getting the inside scoop of my property. And no, probably not. What do I care? This is all standard stuff anyway. So again, putting it so it's on. And what I've learned also is the initials on the left. There'll be the next button on the left. It doesn't move. It doesn't move with the box like DocuSign would. So it's pretty good. So here I'm going to add an element. I'm going to add a signature element. This is for me, right? I'm saying I approve this. Yeah, it's one of the things I had to fix. I had my signature on there, and signature should always be, I don't know why I can't change the default, today's date. Not in the past. You can't backdate. Like, I'm restricting it. Why? Because you can't trust humans to follow, to not mess with anything that they can mess with. It's just the way humans are, right? If you say, well, they won't pick a date in the past. Yeah, they will if you let them. So I want to restrict it to the only date that can be filled in on this contract is the date that they sign it. I'm going to, this is the next little piece, which is it's going to be pretty interesting. I'll show you what I'm doing with this because I learned a lot of lessons, especially if you're doing something that requires some acknowledgement for them. And this is their signature. I buggered that up before. And yet you got to do each one. The date. And it's month, day, year because I'm American. Today's date. And I'm going to duplicate that because it's on the same page because that's what I'm going to do. It'll be my date, and I'm going to duplicate the signature, but it's going to be their signature. All right. And you don't need to put an initial on a date with a signature because you know. Now, I also imported a blank page. I don't want it, so these three dots allow me to delete that page because I imported it, right? A couple more of these little things. You'll see that this gets a little weird and tight, but I'm just going to take them, resize it to where I want it to be for their initials. And now that I got it, nice little compact initial, boom, just going to put it in there. Again, they're gonna what? They're gonna. I like things that fit. So, and that little, I don't know, I can't remember if that contact shows up. This one buggered me up. So I can't that label. I don't know if it shows up or not. So I'm just gonna move it around a little bit so it doesn't infringe upon the actual contract and the dates. So remember, be very detailed with something like this because little things like this could really mess you up when it comes to a contract. And that's why you have a DocuSign document. And I got my contact, full name. And again, it'll show up right like where the words are. So how pretty do you want it to look, right? Signature is always put right above a line. Wish they came with their own line. Oh, it does the contact again. I didn't even see that. I don't think it does show up. Well, maybe let's try it. I'll show you what we can do. Let's just see if that doesn't bugger it up. And if their name's really long, then by God, it'll just be clipped off. All right, next one. That was by landlord. And this is my, I mean, I could have maybe, I was actually working off a PDF, so I really couldn't even change it. This pagination, like I would clean up the document and leave it. I'd have the things that I'm signing on the same page. So that's that signature. That's that. Now this one's going to be interesting. I'm going to demonstrate this, right? So here, they've got to check to see if everything's satisfactory. Well, this is a digital document, and I had to, again, on the second document, there is a checkbox. So in the checkbox, one of the things that I learned digitally, if you're going to have a checkbox, and I don't want it required, because what if something's unsatisfactory? They have to be able to uncheck it. But I also don't want them to have to click, 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 click. That's not user friendly. So I filled it in pre-check. They can uncheck it if there's a problem. Otherwise, they just move on and hit sign, right? So what I sort of learned, I'm not really sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to alternate so that it's easy for them to move back and forth. And I'm just copying each one. Boy, I wish it happened to hit mine. And I'm just moving them. So there's just a little space between them, because this is my PDF. You got to learn how to move and adjust for the document and you can't, the document you're working on, right? Because I want it to not, I don't want the user experience to be all buggered up, and then they have the right to say, I was confused, I didn't know, blah, blah, blah. And now this particular property doesn't have a fireplace. It doesn't have carpeting, but it does have rugs. And I am going to, I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a minute. But I am going to add all of these checkboxes, wall coverings. Now, there's this other one, and because it says tight, I'm only going to use one. This one I'm going to take and make it, I'm going to have to add a blank text field, right? So I'm just going to have them enter in any value, but my placeholder is going to be any other items not listed. Let's see if that, right? So I'm going to move my little box so that they can put it there. And I'm gonna copy this and move it here, and then take up this space, and then give them some room. And in here, I'm going to add okay. Now, I did have an experience, and by the way, I don't have carpeting, so I'm taking this one out, and I'm going to put a little text field that I'm going to pre-fill with, actually I'm going to pre-fill it with NA, and it's not for them to fill out. It's going to be me, right? It's not there. And I don't have a fireplace. So I'm going to copy that one. And put it there. So, because there is no fireplace in this particular one, right? But there is everything else. And so now, notice there's also comments for each one in case they uncheck the box. So I'm going to add a text field. And this got to be a little tricky, so you got to look to see where it lands. So this my document is tight, but it does work, and I checked it out. And I'm trying this out. For this one, I'm enter value. I think I had enter comments. Describe. In condition. Describe. Item. So I did that, and I'm using that so that I could see. I got to have something in there to place it. But I don't want to repeat it every time. So I'm just going to leave it blank for the remainder. But, well, yeah. Actually, I'm leaving it so that I can actually see where the text lands, which is why I'm copying it and pasting it, so that when they describe it, I'm a nerd about the way documents look. But I don't want to describe it on each one. I'll show you what I'm going to do after I get finished with all these. And I'm just using it to place my boxes. That one doesn't belong. And that one doesn't belong anyway. Each one of these does. And they're not all going to be, and I know, by the way, I also know that the property is good to go. So, building this out. I know how things are going to land. Then there's also another thing I think happened to me. I didn't test it. I don't know for sure. But, and now I'm going through each one. And I placed them in order because I want the tab order to go one item at a time if they're tabbing their way through the document. Now, I know that's not a big deal for a lot of developers because a lot of developers are mouse people. I'm a keyboard person, even though I'm being forced most of the time to do mouse movements, which sucks. This, and I'm just hitting Control A inside each one because they'll see the boxes. At least I hope they will. Whenever I'm quiet, I'm going to leave that in place. Let me hit save. And I think I've got everything in there. Let me just do a quick Q&A. So, actually this one, I'm going to enter a value of 1. And that's going to be in there. And so, this is me, that's them. Let's go back to the top. So I'm selecting the date that their lease starts, the day we're entering in this contract. I think it's going to go left to right. Their name, the date the lease will begin on, the date that the lease will end on. Make sure I got my month-day formats, the amount. I got my That's not. Typically that this is an enter value, but I have a default. I want to see how that looks. There it is. Notice that I lost a 0 because it did not work. So I have my placeholder value will be there unless I want to override it in part of our agreement, right? So I'm just making sure as I go along. I got an initial. Well, yeah, I got an initial. Every page they don't interact with, or every page they don't sign, I put an initial. And that's there. My signatures, their signatures. Oop, where's their name? Glad we checked. Dominic. Their printed name, right? I want to do the work for them. It's a good mojo to do the work for them. I don't know if they can open. I don't think they can override. I don't know for sure. There's the date. I got the date, month, date, year, today's date. Go to my next one. All of the stuff they're doing, they sign it. I forgot to add their name. Today's date. My signature. Today's date. Their initials. Today's date, their printed name, my name, my date, and nope, I'm not having them. They're not going to initial my signature page. They get that after anyway, so it wouldn't be appropriate to have them initial a blank page. And that's it. So now that I've saved it, let me show you just a couple of other things that we didn't talk about. You can add pages to the document if you're creating it from scratch. If you wanted to add, a cover page or an addendum, I don't have it in here. So let's say I want to add an addendum. Where's it going to add that page? Did it end it? Oh no, it's just going to my pages. These are the pages that exist. So there's my page. If I want to add a page, I just click on the bottom. And then I could add, maybe I want to add a product list that, if I've got products that I want to add that they're going to select. I want to add a text, a heading. I might call this, and I'm going to addendum A, and then I slap in addendum A, right? And I have that document. I can put that little piece in there. Since I imported a PDF, if I want to throw an image of what, let's see if this image, please select a video. So that's a predefined video. I'm looking to see, it's a predefined, it's not an upload field, this is what I'm saying. Yeah, that's going to be from my media library. Awesome. Let's see what other elements I have on my little, please select a video. So yeah, so even in a contract, I can make it interactive, right? I could add a table. So whatever I want to put in that table, it just helps with the formatting. Again, this, if you're creating a document, these will be the tools that you have at your disposal. And of course, if I want to put a page break between the video and the table or inside, yeah, then I can do that too. So that's all of the little documents. So that's going to cover the same as building one as it is uploading one. Now, there's one other one I haven't tried yet, but I'm not worried about that right now. Let's do this. Let's publish it. So what does that mean? It means I can generate a link, which I'm going to now test. I'm going to copy that link, and I'm going to test it as the receiver. So Dwayne Johnson. And it'll take that, it's entering a contact, right? Just like they would if they filled this out. I'm going to see the date is there for me to select. So, okay. But it's got his name filled in. Can he enter, change it? No, can't change it. Awesome. So let's start filling it out. Yeah, Dwayne can't. So that he can't overwrite it. They can just use. They can pick predefined text. I like to always put it in blue, but it's up to them, right? Let's see. I don't like that. Come on, DJ. So that's now that my predefined Dwayne Johnson's initial. So all they have to do, and I could put the initial next to the, I could have put the initial next to the payment. I could have put it next to the deposit. All good ideas later. But not gonna. It's all good. So I could fill in, if there's nobody to fill in, specify Janie Johnson. I don't know his wife's name if he has one. Or leave it blank. But I've got to either fill it in, because it's not, it's not required. Oh, it's already got a predefined value. I need to go, so I made a mistake. I'm testing it, I made a mistake. Let me close this out. Let me unpublish it. And let me go back and adjust my settings. So there's so specify additional. I want to make that one not required, right? So I put the placeholder text there. And because I had such a great idea, I'm going to take my initials and I'm going to put them right at the rent. So they can't say, oh, I didn't know the rent was this, the rent was that, right? Can't say it. Can't say it. I might even have an initial again. I might take my initials. I want my early termination clause. And I want my late payments acknowledged. Right? And I want my insufficient funds. And I want my property. I just made this up right now, looking at it going, yep, you know what? Property insurance, not sufficient, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. And because I just had and I'm going to do this. Make sure there's no you understand that no subletting. I'm putting it where I want it, right? Where is my contact info? I don't think it's reading the PDF. Oh yeah, it does. There we go. So I want this initial to. I just had a tenant do something weird, like, okay, tenant, you got to call me, not the neighbor. Neighbor doesn't count. Okay? So there's that buggy. Again, that's 1597 placeholder. And this. I'm only giving them one key. So I want them to know that. And storage and parking. So I'm being a weirdo, right? I'm being a weirdo, but I think it's going to serve me and it could serve you. So it's just, it's not a document class, but, you know, any little bit that you learn. Let's see, holdover. I don't think I need to call attention to that. I called attention to enough stuff. I don't want to get crazy with it. Actually, I'm going to take that out too because it's not necessary. There's no variables, so I'm only going to put that where there's variables. I think that's probably sufficient so that, yeah, wherever there's a variable, that's probably better mojo. Or lower unit plantation lease, 2 occupants. And I just put it in there in case it wasn't. Now I would, because I can't send this to, I'm having the contact, and then I would probably send each one a lease, right? 2 lower. All right. I know it's a lease. Maybe not. 2. Maybe I'll put it on the end so it doesn't, I don't need to see lease, Georgia lease. I know it's Georgia because it's specific to a property, right? Typically, yeah, it's because leases have to be specific, so you do it each one. All right, I think I'm pretty much done. Let's go ahead. I think everywhere there's a variable, I have an initial, and I'm going to take that away because, again, I only want to put where there's, oh, let me undo that. Can I undo it? No. So there we go. And I may be consistent with this and not put it right in front, but rather everything on the left. There it goes. So everything's in the same place. Nothing's in the body, so it's consistency. All right, so now I unpublished it to edit it. So publishing it makes it usable. I'm going to copy that, and then we're going to test it. I'm going to go test it. Those of you old enough to remember Ralph Cramden. To the moon, Alice! To the moon! All right. I got 38 required fields. Lord have mercy. So Dominic hasn't selected the date, but that would be, that's interesting. I got to put the dates in there. They're going to come from a custom field. I just haven't built the custom field. All right. So I click on that. I'm going to just use that. I'm going to click next, 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 next. Alice Crandon. See, I'm just making it easy so that it's a short mouse movement. And all they gotta do is click it. See, it forces them into today's date. And everything is, I want to change that to items, but I could do that later, right? But they can also overwrite it, right? So, it was TP. All right, so boom, quick comment. So it's just there if they want to put comments in. I don't know if I like this, but I might want to just put one large thing. Ralph's going to do this. Ralph's going to select the date. He's going to, yeah, it does. See, it puts the contact name there. I don't like that at all. So now, yeah, I didn't like that at all. So that's good to know that it prints the name. It's also good to know that it's annoying as F. And, oh, I made all those required. Whoops. Okay. Figured that out. All right. Unpublish. And I should have. Remember, it's not required because, well, nothing's busted yet. thinking that, what else? I'll leave it the way it is for now. Been much easier if I'd have copied it. Oh yeah, I didn't want to, well, required could have been turned off, but I didn't. It's not required because it's all filled in. Now let's see about those stupid there. I don't want that. So I'm going to take that initial and put it over here. And then I got to move that to here. So I really don't need the contact name, but my document, I'm just going to leave it, right? Just going to leave it in there. And really, I'm not going to let that be filled up by the contact anyway. So it doesn't need to be required because it's uneditable by them. All right. Let me make sure all the places I have their name now are not available to them. Just make it so it makes sense that it's not required. Yeah, I don't like that. It's not a lot of flexibility with it, but boy, oh boy, it saves you 25 to 50 bucks a month, depending on what you spend your money on. Right? So let's publish, generate the link, copy, and paste. Frankie Valli at deadsingers.com. Frankie Valli's an old dude. A dead dude. A dead old dude. Old dead dude. All right, it's a little less intimidating. Start filling it out. I got to fill in that. That's what I want it to look like. He clicks it and hit next, clicks and hit next, clicks and hit next. Specify additional. I should make that required now, because this is a 2 occupant, and therefore you got to fill it out. That's why we test, folks. And right until you get it until you get 100 reps, test and keep testing. La, la, la. Jimmy Kimmel at the Tonight Show. So I think that actually created, like not for nothing. Yeah, see that automatically creates the contact. What I don't know is going to happen is with that additional person, right? Because I don't have a place for that. But let's a couple of things that I need to put in there. I need a custom field while we're here, right? Custom field. It's going to be a single line. It's going to be on the contact object, because I do want to save this because I want to create a contact record and make sure that I can manage that contact record. I want to be able to match them up in the database. So I want to be able to look up one field to another. There should be a contact that matches it. Well, it's in the group. We don't have another group, so I'm going to just call it under contact info because I don't know if general info is there. Now, I want to create some more fields. And that one is a couple of things we talked about, right? So effective date, commencement date, and termination date. Those are all opportunity fields. So I want to create 3 date fields. But I only need it on the opportunity object. And it's just part of the opportunity details. I'm going to add another one. This is going to be right. Commence, effective, and terminate. Now we really get to put this bad boy together. All right, so we got those. So that'll be pre-filled in from the opportunity. I'm going to do a monetary. Lease amount. Again, all from the opportunity. I've got monetary. I got deposit. Occupants. I just want a number field. Number of keys, to detail, placeholder, 1. Actually, I don't need that field. It's the number of occupants, the number of keys. So I'm going to take that field and delete it. That's because that's my policy. I made my life a lot easier. Storage. I'm just going to leave that one. I'm just going to leave that one the way it is because that's the same for every tenant. They got the same storage. They got to figure it out. So let's see what else we got. Parking, utilities. Don't really need that twice. It's gonna leave it. Then who cares? It's not that big of a deal. So let's go back to the document. Let me hit save. Now I want to add those fields into my browser because they're not there. I don't know if they're there or not. I don't care. I'm a Salesforce guy, and that's what happens. So now I don't want a date field, right? I want a text field. And the field is going to be contact, custom fields, opportunity details, effective date. Oh, let me pick it. That was weird. So is that there now? Okay, there you go. And I'm gonna take that one. No, I don't want that filled out. It's really, yeah, there we go. So let's just see what that works out to be. And boom, boom. There's my, so it's not a date picker. It's a date filler. Whoops, I don't want custom values. I want contact, custom fields, opportunity details, commence date. I should have called it commence date, but I didn't. Just going to do that. And only you. Oh, look at that. I did not realize. Look at all that crap that it put in there. You know what? Delete that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to start over because that is weird. Contact, custom, opportunity details, effective date. I remember I clicked the button all those times. And that's what it did to me. You booger. I was like, I didn't see anything happening, so my brain, I was like, what's going on? I did not realize the behavior of doing that field. So just create a new one. Contact, custom fields, opportunity details, commence date. And these are not contact fill out. These are Dominic. These are Dominic. And they're not required because they're going to be filled in anyway. I think, yeah, they're going to be filled in anyway. And it's just a weird field. Like it just looks, this is really creepy looking. Because you can't see what's going on, right? It's not rendering really pretty. And I don't like that. But I'm learning to deal with it. So it's a Dominic field. It's contact, custom, opportunity, termination. Yeah. So it's just rendering weird because it's a text field and filling in dates. We're just pulling in data, right? I think that's all of them. No. Now that one is, we already know that that's a contact. Additional tenant. So there we go. So how are we going to get that one in the database? It's a matter of form collection and whatnot. So we got to make sure we have it in order to do a 2-occupant lease. So what do we have to do? We have to collect it on the single line. Nope, I can put that on the opportunity record. I can put it on the opportunity record. Sorry. Getting weird. I forget where things are in this database sometimes. Covered carport. That's cool. That's predefined text that I already know. So I don't need to update it. I can edit it if I need to, but I'm not gonna. And see if that renders out a little better. Just because the way it placed it, I want to make sure it's good. All right, I think we're good. Publish. Generate the link. Copy the link. Kill the old link. Start a new doc. All right. Hello. I'm sitting on my wallet. I don't like doing that. Hurts my butt. All right. All right. So here we got. Oh, we don't have anything. Oh. So. All right. Let's just start filling it out. Click on that. Accept and sign. That. Click. 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 That how it's done? Ah, you know why? Because I made it editable so they can overwrite that. So the question is, do I let them overwrite that or not? And will it? I don't think it'll populate the field. Oh, we'll try it. Let's see what it does. Nancy Grace. Okay, let's see what happens because it's going to tell us. I wish it when I click that, I wish it would go to the next one automatically without having to click next. But, what are you going to do? Pay more money for some thing that does exactly the same thing, but just wants to charge you more for it? Like, screw that, man. these signatures? Why is that signatures? Those supposed to be initials. Damn it. That's not what I want. I want initials. Did I grab? I grabbed something else. That's what was weird. It was a signature, which is why it did its thing. I didn't even see it. It was so obvious. Okay. Contact, print a name, date, good to go, go. And then we go, and then we know, and then we see, and then we be. Yep, I'm going to go through it again. You're right. I'm just going to do it right. I'm not going to half-ass. Test it. Barry. Oh, terrible. Which is why I put the initials next to the next, because it didn't do it. Let's see. January. See what happens. Got the dates in the place. So let's see what happens. Something I wanted to do anyway that I saw. Number keys, please. This one. Occupants 2, keys. Why is that? Oh, I'm such a knucklehead. Forget about it. Each tenant will sign a lease, so it's going to be fine. Forget about it. All right, so let's see what happened. Let's look at Barry. Yeah, I know. Additional tenant did not fill in. So there's that. But let's do this. Additional tenant, Jane Doe. Let's now test. Let's give them an opportunity. So the effective date is today. Commencement date is going to be February 1. Termination date. Starts at 0. That's weird. Okay, let's see what we got. All right. Oh, it's such a weird. So many reasons I don't like this. Okay. So let's go. Let's see if I can test it all the way. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not going to test it. So, well, let's try it. See if it pulls the data in from his record. That's the thing I want to see, because yeah, this testing won't do it. So that sucks that I can't do that. So all right, so that's, did it create another Barry Bonds? No. Did it create another document? That's not cool, man. So, well, let's see. Well, that just sucks balls. I'm going to go back and fix it. You don't have to see it. Let's go back and take that one, delete it. I'll come back and fill that in another day. So future date. Future date. I think that will be okay. All right, I think that's good. That's all I'm going to do because I don't know how to use it yet very well. But that's it. That's how you create it. Talk about how to use it in the next video.